but I loved her. I remember one time, because my mother and father were working, and of course it was summertime, and I was taking care of her, and we were having an argument, and she picked up the coffee pot and she threw it at me. The coffee pot spilled all over the kitchen floor. But that's the kind of volatile kid she was, you know? So I didn't have much to do with her. And then afterwards, we had some tenants downstairs that lived with us on Ford Street, because we moved to Ford Street when I was about, I think I was in the fourth grade. So I must have been about 9 maybe. And my mother enlisted the Rose and George to take care of Doris, which was nice, because Doris was little. And
I thought you moved to Johnston for a while.
Yeah, but that was just about 2 or 3 months, because Tony Mignonelli had talked my father into going in halves and buying a house.
And what happened with that?
It didn't work out. I don't really know what happened, but my mother and father moved out of Johnston quick. That's when I got to the Carnevale school. Remember I told you I lived at the Carnevale school? And Billy Newman gave me my first Valentine.
When he died, I told his daughter that story.
Yeah.
And it made her daughter feel. I said, I never told you this story, but I told the story about you in the 3rd grade with Billy Newman giving you a Valentine.
Yeah.
That was your first Valentine?
Yes, it was.
By Bill Newman.
And I took care of Billy Newman until the day he died.
I got to meet him, you know, because he was a friend of Elena Galuppi. I never said anything to him. He wouldn't remember.
I never said anything there that hit me there because you told me not to.
Well,
I did talk to his daughter after he had passed away.
Yeah. Well, that was sweet. Of course, we had no contact after that. Then after we left Johnston, we were there just a few months. Then I went to Mesa Street School.
And that's what you lived on 4th Street?
Yeah.
We had 109 4th Street then?
107.
You were in Mrs. Remington's house.
No,
109, that's right.
Manganaro's house. The
house I grew up in was 109 4th Street.
Yeah.
And
that was 109 and 111. The 2 floors had 2 different numbers.
Oh, I see. So we were in the next house over? You were in Elsie's house?
Yeah. And Rose and George lived on the 1st floor, and they were a godsend to my mother and dad because they watched Doris, you know. Although one time Rose complained to my father because Doris was on roller skates and she was making noise, and she took her roller skates. And it's the first time I can remember my father really getting annoyed, because maybe not the first, but it's one of the rare times I saw him he went to Rose and says, I bought this house so my kids could have a yard to play in, so I want you to give her back her roller skates. So that was nice. But Doris had a very good association with George and Rose, because they would give her lunch when she went to the Althea Street School, because she would walk there and walk back. Nobody pick her up.
Seems to me I did the same thing.
Yes, you did. We just thought that's the way things were, honey. Okay, what else you want to know?
So tell us about Lloyd, when Lloyd showed up.
Oh, dear. When Doris was at Gilbert Stewart Junior High, she and Lloyd became boyfriends and girlfriends, Cute stuff, little stuff.
That's in 6th grade?
No, that's 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
And my mother tried to discourage it, but Doris would sneak off and meet Lloyd at the park. They'd sit in the park. They would be with a group, something entirely innocent. They were just kids. I'm trying to think of when Lloyd was 17. He joined the Marine Corps. So my mother tried very hard to break them up because she knew her experience. She knew that she was married so very young, and she didn't want that for her daughter. So she did everything she could to break them up. one time the police came to the door and they said, "We have your daughter down the police station." It says, "We saw her kissing a boy." We saw her kissing a boy, so we thought maybe that we'd break it up and kind of let you know. So of course my mother went down to pick her up and bring her home. But that was the kind of thing. It was nothing but trouble for my poor mother. So finally she and my father got desperate. They says, "I know what we'll do. We'll just move out of the neighborhood." So they bought a house in Hoxie Four Corners in Warwick, about as far away from Ford Street as you could get, right?
Just because of Lloyd?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, poor Lloyd.
What do you mean, poor Lloyd? They were kids. They couldn't get involved like that.
But I mean, okay.
You know?
So what happened?
I mean, she wasn't doing well in school, and so Lloyd joined the Marines.
And you guys moved to Warwick.
And my mother and dad had already moved to Warwick. So when that happened, they sold their house in Warwick and moved back to Ford Street.
Oh, okay.
But didn't you tell me a story about your cousin went to school with Doris?
Andy and Tommy?
Yeah.
Well,
More like Andy.
Well, they went to Gorton High School because that's where Doris was, see,
Yeah.
when they were living in Warwick. And what they did was, Andy's almost identical. He was just as old as Doris. He was born on November 3rd, the same year that Doris was born on November 1st. And Tommy was the younger one. So they tried to acclimate her to the Gorton High School, you know, introduce her to all the friends and stuff. Is that what you mean, honey?
Well, I was thinking, I don't know if that's, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I just wondered about the relationship she had with her cousins down there.
It was very good. It was a very good relation. They were very protective of her. They even found dates for her for the junior prom and stuff, you know.
How long?
Not that she needed them, because she's a lovely little girl.
I'm confused because you went. Where did you go to high school?
Classical.
And so you had to commute from Warwick to Classical?
Oh, no, darling. We were in Providence long before then. I remember
was
I
she-
told you Lloyd went into the service.
Right, but you said she was in 6th grade. So that means you must have been in high school by then. Right? Does that make sense? Because if she was in middle school,
You never lived in Harmony Court.
you never went out to
No.
Warwick. Oh, okay.
No, I never lived there.
Oh, so you probably had already moved.
Oh, Doris was a teenager by then.
Oh, okay.
And the relationship was still going on. So mother she got kind of nervous.
So they moved to Harmony Court.
They
That
went-
didn't work out, so he moved back to 4th Street. He still owned the house on 4th Street. That's where we were living then.
Yeah.
So,
Tell,
Okay.
tell us how you met, how you got involved with this guy.
Well, we used to visit my Aunt Laudetha because she was my aunt. You know, on Christmas we used to visit.
where's that?
I used to love to go visit there because it was so different. And I used to love to look out the window at the trains in the train yard, you know.
Where was this?
On Ridge Street. There's a bakery on Ridge Street next to the on-ramp to is that 95 or what is
It's
it?
probably
Route 6 maybe?
Route 6 or one,
Yeah, Route 6.
195.
The house isn't there anymore. It's been demolished.
Oh, it's still there.
No, it's not.
I went by there yesterday.
The house is not there, darling.
Oh,
That's the house next door.
okay.
Bakery's no longer there.
The bakery is
I
there.
got the bread there yesterday.
Yeah, the bakery is there. The Ridge Street house isn't there anymore.
Okay.
No.
So tell us
Oh.
how you met Dad.
And being the dutiful son that your daddy was, his mother said he had to visit his godmother every Christmas. So he did. He visited her and we happened to be there. So that was nice. That was the first time I met him.
You knew his godmother?
She was my aunt.
Oh, I gotcha.
So that was that. Then my grandmother and grandfather came from Italy. So Nanon being the way she was, her best friend's mother and father just came from the old country. So she enlisted, of course Daddy was her chauffeur. She enlisted Daddy to take her to visit on Ford Street. My cousin Johnny was there too.
To go to visit on Ridge Street or 4th Street?
Ford Street, because my mother and father had my grandmother and grandfather living with them.
Okay.
That was before they bought the house down the street because they needed another bedroom for my grandmother and grandfather. So, and your daddy came. And we had a nice chat, you know. And after that, I don't know what went through his head. He never told me.
Okay. So when was this? What year was this, would you say? Were you done with Brian?
What went through your
Oh,
head?
no, I was at classic. Yes, I was at Bryant. Yes. Yes.
You're
I was.
saying you don't know what went through his head, but what went through your head after you saw him?
Nothing. He's just nothing, you know. He's just a guy.
Well, when you were in high school.
The guys, there were dozens of guys, you
You didn't
know.
know him then when you were in high school.
No, I didn't know him when I was in high school.
So who'd you go to your senior prom with?
I didn't go to my senior prom.
Who'd you go to the Christmas ball with?
I didn't. My cousin Johnny.
Oh, safe bet.
Yeah. Not only that, there was nobody I really liked, and the guy I really liked wouldn't want me to go with him.
Who's the guy you really liked?
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Well, you wouldn't know who he was
Yes, I
anyway.
would.
He ended up being a history professor in the University of Illinois.
Who is it? What's his name?
Clifford Griffin.
And he was at classical with you?
And really, you know, he could have had any girl in the whole, and he did, you know.
Clifford. Huh?
Clifford Griffin.
Doesn't sound
Interesting.
Italian to me.
Why would he be Italian? None of my friends were Italian.
Okay. You met your friend Hope there, though.
Oh yeah, Hope I met in junior high school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was always a good friend. Then Hope moved to Cranston, and her mother and father didn't want to pay the tuition, so she graduated from Cranston.
All right, so let's